All right, we're back. It's not surprising. It's not surprising. We're back. I can't I can't believe I have to do this so soon, is what I should say. I can't believe I have to do this so soon. For those that remember, Chaim Bloom has a new nickname. It is officially Chaim Pussy Boy Bloom. I'm not rescinding that. That's what he deserves to be called. Um, that's what he deserves to be called. And honestly, just re-signing Bogarts and extending Devers isn't enough to remove the nickname at this point. Like, even if he does those two things, it's still not enough to remove the nickname because this is who he is: a coward, a pussy boy. And the Sox are turning into the Tampa Bay Red Sox. So just sad and embarrassing. And again, we have to do this. So let's share the screen. Let's do it. Let's do it. You want to say Trey's being unfair? Okay. You want to say Trey's being unfair? Okay. Well, I'm on the tweet machine, and when Bob Nightingale says something, I don't really necessarily believe it because that guy's a dope and he lies all the time. So I'm never going to overly react to something that he says. However, John Paul Morosi said the same thing today. And this guy speaks like 8 different languages, and he's actually smart. So, and that's not a lie. He actually speaks like 12 different languages because he's actually smart. Not my favorite reporter in the world, but someone who's actually respectable. Red Sox pursued Zach Eflin before he signed with the Rays. And if you go back to Nightingale's report, it's probably now true. You can't believe everything that Nightingale says, but he says that the Sox basically had the same offer on the table for Eflin, and that Eflin's from Florida, so he went to Tampa. Here's the bottom line. At what point, I'll stop sharing the screen for a little bit and then we'll come back. At what point are we just going to acknowledge he's a pussy? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. At what point are we just going to acknowledge he's a pussy? Because there's no other words to describe him. This is Major League Baseball free agency. If you finish second on every single free agent, you get nobody. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. The only difference is I'm actually smart and I know when to overspend. I'm not saying you got to overspend all the time. I'm not saying you got to fucking do this and that. I'm not saying you got to blow money like the fucking Mets. The Mets are a disaster. I'm not saying you got to blow money like the Mets. What I am saying, however, is that if you never overspend, you get nobody. And I'm going to show you some examples here now. Let me share the screen again. Here's one of my famous examples. And again, I want to reiterate this. I'm not saying you always got to overspend. I'm saying sometimes to get the guy that you want, you got to overspend. Just like Houston did with Abreu. Did you think you wanted to give him a third year at $20 million? Probably not, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. Once upon a time, I'll get to it. It's probably down the list a little bit. Once upon a time, I was called a fucking wacko for saying I would give Zach Wheeler $100 million. And I probably would have outbid anybody. Turns out this was right. And I was called a wacko. Why are you giving Zach Wheeler $130 million? I would have given him more. I would have given him an extra year. Because I'm actually smart and I actually pay attention and all that shit. But here's the bottom line, Chaim Bloom. If you don't overspend for anybody, you get nobody. That's the way it works. This isn't Tampa. You don't fucking bargain hunt. And the sad part is you're so bargain hunting that you're now getting outbid by Tampa. I don't want to bring this up. Let's bring this up. I'm going to go to a positive. No, I'm going to go to a negative, and then I'll finish with a positive. So this is our favorite guy, Red Sox stats. We know he's a douchebag. We know he doesn't get anything. We know he doesn't understand. He's got a little bit of a formula. He's got a little bit of a following. He pumps out some stats, but at the end of the day, this guy doesn't know fucking dick. And we all know this. Given the details in here, I'm not sure anyone can fault the Red Sox for not signing this guy. But a way will be found. I'm going to show you a way. It's called off from a fourth year. In fact, it just only proves that this guy's just a fucking idiot. What, because The Athletic wrote this? Give me 1 second. All right. First of all, The Athletic is a shit publication, and anybody that pays for that thing is an idiot. I will never pay to read something. It's called journalism, and journalism should be free. So if you disagree with that, you're just a bad human. So, which is all these athletic people are. But I did have the chance to ponder it over, even though I don't pay for this shitty publication. Here's the bottom line, and I'm going to show you somebody that actually gets it. This is somebody that actually gets it. Lou, I wish you would follow me because I'm on your side with all this stuff. I don't really like WEI, but you would learn a thing or two from me, just like I respect your opinion on a lot of things too. So there was a specific tweet that I saw him retweet last night, and it's spot on. There's something called the millionaire's tax in Massachusetts. I'm not an expert on every single state. I know Florida doesn't have a state tax. I know the Massachusetts has a millionaire's tax, and it plays a factor. It plays a factor. I know this isn't the same sport, but it's not a coincidence that Matthew Tkachuk went to Florida because there's no state tax. And all the teams on his wish list, Vegas, who else did he have on there? All the teams that he had on there, except for St. Louis, where he's from, no state tax. So, yeah, it plays a factor. It plays a factor, dumb fuck Red Sox stats. It plays a factor. You can't just offer him more. Offer him the 5th year. Bet you he doesn't say no. Bet you he doesn't say no. And I'm not saying I would have offered Zach Eflin a 5th year, even though, a little bit of a side note, I do know Zach Eflin. I worked at the Iron Pigs once upon a time. He's a great guy, so I'm really happy he got paid. Really happy he got paid. He deserves it. He's a really great guy. Bottom line is, this thing exists in the state of Massachusetts. So you don't just got to overpay. If the Rays have a similar offer, you're going to lose. Sorry, just the way that it fucking works. But again, stupid fuck Red Sox stats. That guy is just the fucking worst. He just sucks, doesn't he? He just sucks. And again, Lou, he's spot on. By the way, I forgot about this until I just saw it. The same thing did happen with Rayleigh last year. They lost to Tampa with Rayleigh. Why? Same offer on the table. He took no state tax. And I'm not saying, listen, Zach Eflin, he's up and down. He's injured a lot. I'm not saying I would have given out this contract. Maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have, depending on what the rest of the market has to offer. But at some point, and this is 100% correct, at some point, when are you going to get somebody that you want? When are you going to stop pussyfooting around and get somebody that you want? At what point are you going to start acting like the Red Sox? I don't got an answer for you. And at this point, it's just pure ignorance that they don't call me. Because the idea that you were going to have a similar offer on the table for a guy that's from Florida, forget about similar. I don't care if they bid 5% more. You better fucking make sure. Because it just happened with Abreu. And now we got a pattern. Now we got a pattern of you being outbid. And this is now back-to-back times within a matter of days. You're a pussy boy, Chaim Bloom, and it's fucking sad. It's fucking sad, and I hope you quit. Forget the lost confidence thing. I just said this. Forget the lost confidence thing. He's a fucking bitch. He's just a bitch, and it sucks. It just sucks, man. It just sucks. And I'm not taking any of these words back because they're well-deserved. And the only difference between me and Lou is he interviews the guys, so he's a little bit nicer. But everything that I'm saying, he agrees with. Because it's true. Again, there's still time. There's a lot of names out there. But I'm so fucking tired of being outbid by teams that have less financial resources than the Red Sox do. Because it's just fucking nonsense. I'm not saying you got to act like the Mets. The Mets are going to crash and burn. We all know this. If I was running the Mets, I would have tanked them into oblivion. I would have traded Jacob deGrom 3 years ago. But the bottom line is, at some point, when the fuck are you going to get somebody that you want? When the fuck are you going to get somebody that you want? That's my question for Chaim Bloom. Because right now, just re-signing Xander Bogaerts is the minimum. Because this team's not good enough, even if he's on the field. That's just the cold, hard facts. Fucking sad. At what point do they call me? Because he's going to get fired. It's going to happen. Whether it happens this year or next year, he's gonna get fired. You could take that bet to Vegas at this point. He's gonna get fired. And the best part about it is I hope they give me the job afterwards because he's built up so many good prospects that I know which ones to trade and which ones not to trade. And I can turn this into the 2018 Red Sox real quick. But he won't because he acts like a pussy boy.